Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to discuss Horus Lupercal. We all know that Horus turned traitor. He was the golden son who betrayed the emperor and basically brought the Imperium down for what it was back then. But what I want to do today is explore other possibilities. Now, we've had stuff in the past where we've had the Dawning Heresy, which was highly heretical, but also a very, very good read. I actually want to explore what would happen if Horus actually didn't turn traitor. Who would then be the leader of the so-called heresy against the emperor? Would it escalate as it did without Horus in charge? So let's jump in and let's get talking. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, to just try and get down to the basics, that when Horus went to the moon of Davin, he never got stabbed. He never got put into the coma, into the slumber. So the priest of Davin could basically connect him to the warp, and the warp could, do all its kind of messy things it did, show Horus the visions. Let's all put that to one side. Let's actually say that Horus actually still went to the moon of Davin, but he actually managed to destroy the opponent, just completely obliterate him. He actually learnt of the plot to try and actually put him into the slumber so he could betray the emperor. What would he do from then? Well, I personally think he would try to take vengeance. He would definitely warn the emperor. He was the emperor's most favoured son at that time. So I definitely think he would go back to Terra, or try and communicate with Terra to say, hey, there's some heresy here, Lorgar has been messing with a lot of stuff, and it's some serious business. From that single action, I think we have to look at it as the cascade effect, where since Horus wasn't in the slumber, that means Magnus didn't try to approach him, which means that Magnus then didn't try to warn the emperor, which means that the seals on the Imperial Palace were not broken. So there's a lot of things that actually go with Horus actually not turning traitor. So technically, when you have Horus not turning traitor, you have legions such as the Thousand Sons who would have stayed loyal to the emperor as well. I'm not saying that most of the legions who went traitor would have stayed loyalist, because there's definitely going to be some that still went traitor. I'll discuss them in a second. But firstly, let's just stay on the topic of Horus. So Horus is now loyalist. He's learned of the plot. The first thing he's going to do, he's going to go to his Mournival and he's going to expunge the lodges. Like, the lodges are at the core of the legions corrupt. They're there to spread heresy and lies. So that is number one of getting rid of that old system, refreshing the legion, bringing it out anew. You would have famous characters such as Abaddon, which of course is the main bad guy in Warhammer 40,000. I know really everyone's the bad guy in Warhammer 40,000, but let's just say that Abaddon is the bad guy of Warhammer 40,000. He of course wouldn't have betrayed the emperor. He would have stayed loyal. Some say that he is probably the greatest Astartes from that era. I would argue that Sigismund is the greatest Astartes from the era, but anyway, let's not judge that today. So you have one of the greatest Astartes not turning against the emperor, and Horus again using him as a weapon. Now, if we look at the legions that would have gone traitor, okay, it's easy to say that the number one, the big one, would have been the word bearers. The word bearers are corrupt way before Horus went corrupt. It's simple fact. So they're definitely still on the track of betraying the emperor. I still think you would have legions such as the Night Lords. Of course, the Night Lords never really went traitor. They went renegade, because of what happened with Conrad Kurz and Rogel Dawn ripping out Dawn's throat, etc., and stuff like that. So they still would have been in that bad place. I also think that the World Eaters also would have gone corrupt, just for the sheer fact of what was going on with their Primarch Angron and the nails biting into his head. And if it was, of course, Lorgar that kind of saved Angron by ascending him to demonhood, I still think that path would have happened, but of course it would have happened in a different type of way, since the 500 worlds and stuff, that is where he ascended. Maybe he would have ascended maybe in another solar system or another planet, bringing death to the Imperium. You could also argue that such legions as the Emperor's Children and the Death Guard are kind of balanced on which way they would go without Horus as the lead. Of course, we all know that Fulgrim had a demon blade, and that was really twisting him from the inside, but maybe Horus could have intervened somehow as a pure light Horus, brother, I am close to you, give in to your heretical ways and come back to the light. Maybe he could have approached something like that. Again, it's kind of the same with Mortarion. Mortarion hated the Emperor and, you know, his whole hierarchy and stuff like that, which is kind of ironic. But maybe with Horus not really goading him, saying do this, do that, he could have remained loyal as well. But again, the thing about that is that Typhus was really embedded in the Death Guard Legion, and you know, he was the one that was really spreading it around and really corrupting them from within. Maybe with Horus's guidance, that Mortarion's eyes would have been opened a little bit more and saw the true actions of Typhus, or Typhon, however you want to call him these days, and he would have just slain him, got rid of him, and, you know, again, kind of cured his legion from within. Even as an Imperial Fist fan, I actually don't see the Iron Warriors turning traitor as well, because again, Horus was the charmer in all of this. You know, he was the one that goaded these brothers. You know, look what the Emperor's done, look at this, look at that. You know, he gave them the confidence to really step over the breach. So without Horus in that position and instead pushing them in the other direction, I think most of these legions actually would have stayed loyal to the Emperor, which basically would have been kind of a massive spanner in the works for chaos and, you know, the powers that were all behind the scenes, the powers that be, let's say. Because without Horus, Horus is the key to the door of bringing the Imperium down. Because some of the major events that we have is, of course, like the betrayal of Isstvan. Now, Isstvan is where mostly the Salamanders, the Iron Hands, and the Raven Guard were wiped out. But, of course, without Horus in that, without Horus's tactical genius, so of course with the Iron Hands betraying people and, you know, everyone who was involved who was supposed to be Loyalist, that probably would have never happened. I'm not saying there wouldn't have been a big battle. I definitely think there would have been a huge battle at some point. Again, we'll get to that in a second on what personally I think would have happened. But the main events that we saw, like, for example, if Isstvan never happened, then the Retribution fleet by Rogel Dawn on the Battle of Thal system would have never happened, so Dawn would have still had a majority of his massive fleet, so definitely they would have arrived with Horus to seek retribution and do all this type of stuff. You would have had a full legion of Iron Hands. Iron Hands, let's say, still have their Primarch. Ferrus Manus never lost his head because, again, for argument's sake, let's say that Horus brought Fulgrim back to the light, so they're up one. You've got the Salamanders, who basically never got wiped out as well on Vulcan, doing what Vulcan does best. It's easy to say that there definitely wouldn't have been a siege of the Imperial Palace because they just wouldn't have the numbers. The traitors wouldn't have the numbers. Adding to that as well, the Emperor can get involved at this stage because, again, I harken back to what I said. Without Horus going into his slumber and Magnus seeing this and trying to warn the Emperor without breaking the seals, the Emperor doesn't have to sit on the Golden Throne to stop, you know, demons bum rushing in through the Imperium and ripping everything anew. So he actually can step out the Imperial Palace and bring justice to his sons that betrayed him, and that is a absolutely huge, massive game changer because the Emperor is on a whole different level. Now, again, let's just say, for example, the traitors managed to organize themselves. So what I'm giving the traitors now, I'm giving them the World Eaters, I'm giving them the Night Lords, aka the Renegades, and I'm giving them the Word Bearers as well. So let's say those three legions amassed. Let's say they amassed on a random planet, you know, their final last stand. Who the hell is going to show up to that planet? Well, every Loyalist legion, I personally think, is going to ascend on that planet in some type of force. Maybe not in their entire force, but in some type of force. They're going there to seek vengeance on their fallen brothers, their betrayed brothers. I would say that at this time that Angron has ascended to demonhood. I would even argue that maybe Lorgar himself has ascended to demonhood as well. I'm not too sure about Conrad Kurz. Maybe Conrad Kurz just laughs at that. He's just being the so-called Night Haunter and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to put Lorgar in the position of Horus when Horus was a traitor. Like, he is like infused by all the chaos powers, let's say. He is basically the big daddy now when it comes to chaos manifesting itself in the galaxy. And let's say, to make it a fair fight, like, this planet was kind of like a tunnel to the warp, let's say. Maybe it had like a chaos gate on there or something like that, which connected the planet to the warp, so they basically had mass reinforcements of demons. So, I'm just looking for this from a fair kind of rule of cool type of situation. So when the siege is then launched on this planet, because we have a reversal now, instead of the siege of terror, it's the siege of such and such planet, and it is the Loyalist sieging the enemy to rid them of their corruption and bring destruction to their so-called little heresy, the Lorgar heresy, let's call it, the Aurelian heresy, whatever sounds cooler. So we launch on the planet. Of course, the Imperial Fist and the Iron Hands working together. My holy Emperor of mankind. What devastation could that bring? I know they don't really get on, but those two forces working because the Emperor's there saying, right, you two work together. You're both my sons. Break this demon fortress down. Rogodorn and Perturabo shaking hands, unleashing the might of their legions. Oh my holy Emperor. The walls are probably down within 5 minutes because those two guys working together would be incredible. Let's just say the palace or the fortress, the demon fortress is broken down, and then the legions start pouring in. There's mass battles, there's huge, massive killer demons, greater demons, stuff like that. They're fighting. The custodians are there. The Emperor hasn't deployed yet. He's waiting in his golden ship above the planet. He's taken on the role of like Horus now during the Horus Heresy. He's waiting to descend and bring justice down. Let's say the Primarchs are down there. They're fighting greater demons. They're ripping their heads off. They're inspiring, leading the legions, all that kind of stuff. And we actually break through into the palace, and it's like the final stages. I definitely think there's going to be some Primarch battles. Well, I think one of the biggest Primarch battles I would like to see, of course, Angron at this stage, again, let's say is completely ascended to demonhood. He's the demon, but Sanguinius is there. Sanguinius is the angel versus the demon. And it's this epic battle of mythology, and they're clashing. And instead of, Sanguinius breaking Carbunda across his knee, he actually breaks Angron across his knee. Instead, gets him, snaps him in twain, and Angron's sucked back into the, wow, get you for this, angel boy, all that kind of stuff. And, they break through. Conrad Kurz is there. Let's say Rogodorn takes his vengeance, and instead of, his throat being ripped out, what happened last time, Dawn just chops his head off and says, throat this and stuff. I don't know, a cool Primarch line, let's say. But the main confrontation is with Lorgar and Horus. This is what I would like to see, like a switch around where Horus is going against this demon pumped up Lorgar. It's basically what Horus was during the Horus Heresy, and Lorgar is powerful. He's just too powerful for Horus. Horus is still a fantastic warrior. He's still powerful, but he just doesn't have that next level to him because of what Chaos have done to Lorgar and pumped him up with so much power. So I'm going to say that it's Horus in this situation that puts the chink of damage into Lorgar's armor with Willbreaker, but doing so, he is actually slaying himself. His sacrifice for the Emperor, the favored son sacrificing himself so his father can finish the job. And as Horus is laying in a pool of blood and he's about to die, the Emperor ascends down in a golden beam of light, custodians surrounding him. They start opening fire, like all the demons in the room, and the Emperor steps forward to meet his corrupted son, which is Lorgar. And then the Emperor looks at him, and maybe he says like a little speech. I gave you a warning once, and you betrayed that. Now you will die. I don't know, kind of Palpatine-ish, and he just lightning bolts him or something like that, or mind bullets him, and he just shocks him. You have been lied to, my son. You have been betrayed. You are weak. And then he just completely blows him apart, and it's just a game changer. There's just no way you can beat the Emperor. He basically destroys the body, destroys the soul, and the rest of the legions just absolutely mop up, clear the planet. Of course, since the Emperor's there, he probably just smashes everything down with, like, you know, the Chaos Gate and stuff, stops all their reinforcement, nullifies, and, you know, it's just the Emperor doing what the Emperor does. And that is the end of the Aurelian Heresy. The Night Lord Legion is completely butchered, wiped from the record, let's say. The World Eaters are completely wiped from the record, even though Angron still survives. And I'm going to say that since Angron is, of course, a greater demon at this point, and he didn't get mind blasted, his soul destroyed by the Emperor, he is still out there. He is still a threat. And maybe then he takes the role of Carbunda then, and his hatred for the Blood Angels, because guess what? Sanguinius is still alive now, because Sanguinius wasn't the one that sacrificed himself. It was Horus was the one that sacrificed himself through all of this. So then that has a tremendous effect on the Blood Angels, because you don't have the Black Rage and all that kind of stuff that goes with that. I'm sure that a lot of people would argue against that, since that's what makes the Blood Angels very, very cool, and, you know, everything that goes along with that. But it was Horus that was the one who died. Horus has sacrificed himself. Horus goes down as a hero of the Imperium. Instead of this tyrant that he's known as today, the statues, monuments built, you know, worlds dedicators, Lupercal, let's say a world's called or something cool like that. He is the hero of the Imperium, and then it's Abaddon who steps up, and he takes the role of and the leader of the Sons of Horus. And instead of Abaddon being this feared warlord, you know, from chaos and stuff, he actually changes his role, and he leads the Sons of Horus into a new era of just crusading and purging in the Emperor's name, to remember their father, to do the Emperor's work, and to finish the job of bringing justice to mankind throughout the galaxy. Oh, and one more thing, since Horus is not around anymore, Rogal Dawn is made War Master officially, and he is the best. Right, everyone, thank you for coming, thank you for watching this video, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm planning to do some more of these, like, what if Gilliman went Heretic? Actually, we've already had that one. Maybe, like, what if, no, I can't do Rogal Dawn, because we've had that one as well. I don't know, put your suggestions down in the comment section down below, like, a what if from certain situations throughout the lore series, and we'll just cover them and just, you know, have some fun while we're doing it. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave your thoughts, feedback, and maybe some stuff that I mentioned, like how would you see it different if, like, Horus didn't go traitor? What would change for you? Who would still go traitor? Who would still stay loyalist? Would they actually be loyalists that went traitor, who were still loyal during the Horus Heresy? You know, switch it around a bit, put it all down below, and we can have a nice little talk about it down there as always. Thank you, see you now, have a great day, and bye-bye.